Good day to you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Film Focus, episode 204, the review for the Super Mario Galaxy trailer. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen of the North, South, East, and West, and welcome to another episode of Film Focus. I'm your host, the Hypersonic55, and I'm glad that you decided to join me once again for some film-related discussion. And today I'm here to discuss with you the first official trailer for the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Now, it's been a little while since the first teaser dropped, and while it didn't reveal any details about the plot and characters, it was more of an announcement that the sequel would be set in space. You know, obviously based on the games that came out on the Wii in 2007 and 2010. However, on Wednesday, November 12th, we had the Nintendo Direct where they finally showed off the trailer, but also gave us the information on the new voice actors that would be added to the cast. And my initial thoughts on the trailer, I thought it was quite good. Now, while the trailer is still a little elusive about certain details, we at least have a better idea of what will be included when it comes to location, certain plot details, and certain character beats. Now, even though I enjoyed what I saw, I still have some concerns. So in this episode, I will highlight the key details that I enjoyed, mention the new actors who are voicing Rosalina and Bowser Jr., discuss some potential concerns, and offer some mild speculation. So I'm just going to be talking about some of the highlights that I enjoyed from the trailer. Firstly, we got to talk about one of the main things, the references. The references are everywhere. Now, for those who aren't fans of the games, this segment will probably mean nothing. But for those of us who have been hooked on the games for decades, this is where the fun begins. Seeing various different elements from the games brought to life in these films has been super fun and interesting. And this is still the case with this trailer. There are all sorts of things that we've noticed, big and small, from Mario Galaxy to Mario Odyssey to Mario World to Mario Sunshine. There's a lot to spot, and I'm not even going to highlight everything in here because that would take this podcast to at least maybe an extra third or an extra half longer than it needs to be. But here's some of the things that I highlight that I thought was interesting. In Mario Sunshine, you had Bowser Jr., and in this film, he is sporting a mask and a magic paintbrush similar to that game. So that was really cool to see that was implemented. You also have a sort of really colorful room where there was a roulette table that reminded me of the casino from Casino Delfino and Mario Sunshine. Additionally, there's these small black monsters that are attacking Peach, and they are the little ninjas from Super Mario World. I've always liked their character design, so again, seeing them realized in this film is pretty cool. And from Mario Odyssey, you see the desert and the upside down pyramid from Sand Kingdom, and then of course you have so many references to Mario Galaxy. From the shooting stars from the Star Festival to the launch stars that send Peach and Toad into the sky. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I could see Toad had a backpack on. It looked like he was adopting that Captain Toad look, which I was really hoping for. You also have an aquatic planetoid, which is similar to one of the, water-based planetoids from the first game. And you also have the giant mechanical boss known as Megaleg, who was one of the first bosses you fight in Mario Galaxy 1 as well. And then obviously we have to talk about the visuals because the trailer is stunning. One of the things you can't fault Illumination for is their talented team. They are able to take the Mario IP and bring it to life in a breathtaking way with vibrant color palettes, excellent lighting, fluid animation, and an attention to detail in the character models and environments, which is impossible to ignore. And then we have Bowser Jr., and it looks like he's here to rescue his dad. Now, while details about what's going on in the film are still a bit scarce, we at least know that Bowser Jr. will be here to fetch his dad and potentially be the big main bad from the comments that Shigeru Miyamoto had in the Nintendo Direct as well. And that is a really interesting and fun angle. I like Bowser Jr. He's always been one of my favorite characters since he was introduced in Mario Sunshine, and to see him in a proactive role in a story definitely has me excited. And finally, we have Rosalina, who is looking pretty cool. My Space Queen, I love her. And she only has a few brief moments from what we've seen at the end of the trailer and one extra clip that was shown during the Nintendo Direct. But they are definitely showcasing her cosmic abilities with her speed and her ability to use her wand to summon those large stars to dismantle the mega legs, like, limbs. And then she also gets to strike a cool pose after an explosion like scene. So clearly, this film will display her abilities in a more offensive manner than what we've seen in the games. Well, aside from Smash Brothers, of course. And now we move on to my concerns. If you watched my hopes and fears for the Mario Galaxy movie, and I think even in my first thoughts on the Mario teaser trailer, I had some concerns about this sequel. Now, the first film had a story, but it felt like a series of scenes stuck together to help the audience transition from one set piece to another. And any meaningful material was rarely given any screen time that it deserved, or felt like it was very surface level, like with the Mario and Luigi relationship or the adversarial relationship between Mario and DK. Again, I wasn't expecting the best from what we get from Disney, Pixar, DreamWorks, or Sony, but I just wanted a little bit more depth to the narrative. So I hope that this film will have a little bit more going on in that area and improve the story and character development. But considering that this is the Illumination we're talking about, they'll probably stick to their usual approach and do what they do because there's an audience for their style of storytelling, humor, and presentation. I am also just a little concerned about how the Galaxy game elements will be implemented in this film, because Galaxy, the best way to describe that experience, especially if you go through that game for the first time, it's magical. There is whimsy, there is awe, there is fun, humor, excitement, and especially if you are a gamer who's played Mario prior to the Galaxy games, you know what it's like running around the Mushroom Kingdom. You know exactly how everything works on, I guess their version of Earth, for lack of better terms. But when you go to Galaxy, all the rules get thrown out. There are so many things about Galaxy that's so strange and wonderful. And I really hope that they will capture that in this film. And now we get to talk about the new actors. For the longest time, fans have been wondering about who would be joining the cast when it came to the actors. And while the rumor mill was throwing out names that range from humorous to absurd, the latest Nintendo Direct confirmed two key characters that would be joining this franchise in the form of Rosalina and Bowser Jr. And the casting was a bit surprising for both. Firstly, you have Brie Larson as Rosalina. Now, she definitely was not on my bingo card of actresses I was expecting to play this character. However, the casting for the Mario films in general has just been a bit bizarre from the outset, so you can't really calculate what they're going to do anyway. And while her version of Captain Marvel may not be everyone's cup of tea, she's delivered some good performances, and some of my favourites are Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, 21 Jump Street, and Room. And with the exception of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, she hasn't really done much in the way of voice acting, so I'm curious to see what kind of energy she'll bring to the role. Now, from the clips that we saw in the Nintendo Direct, she definitely sounds good, and I definitely wouldn't have guessed it was Larson behind the role. But she is a big Nintendo fan. That much has been known in certain interviews and certain internet coverage. So I'm kind of not surprised that she's in here, but hopefully she'll deliver a good performance. Again, she sounds good from what I've heard. I'm just wondering what her personality is going to be like, because obviously with Princess Peach in the first film, they definitely beefed her up and changed her a lot from what she was in the games. But it seems like there is a sort of graceful, calm demeanor to Rosalina in the trailer from the small snippets that we've seen. But I'm just wondering how much of that will translate to her overall appearance in the film, or if there will be any, additional changes or significant additions. And then you have Bowser Jr., who will be played by Benny Safdie. Now, this is the real eyebrow raiser. Now, he is obviously one half of the directing duo, the Safdie brothers, but he's also gone on to direct his own material. He most recently made The Smashing Machine, from what I remember. And he's been in a good few films here and there as an actor. The two performances that I know him from and quite enjoyed was when he was in Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, which was one of my favorite films of that year, and Oppenheimer, which was also one of my favorite films of that year as well. But when it comes to Bowser Jr., I think of that sassy punk with a high-pitched voice and attitude. Safdie is definitely not the first person that comes to mind when it comes to this character. And from what I've heard from the clips in the trailer, and again the extra clip that was shown during the Nintendo Direct, his voice is deep, like that of a young teenager whose voice is broken. And it's definitely a surprise considering what Bowser Jr. sounded like in the game since his first appearance in Mario Sunshine over 20 years ago. But hey, I'm open to change, and perhaps it will grow on me once we see the film. And now just for mild speculation. Speculation is something I tend not to do these days just because I just like to see the film in its entirety. Whatever happens, happens. I don't tend to think about it too much. But because this is a Mario-based property and I have at least some inklings about what could be in there or what won't be in there, I just want to, throw my few cents into the ring. So when it comes to speculation, I do wonder how will Yoshi fit into this? Because if you saw the original Mario film, there was a post-credit scene which highlighted a Yoshi egg. So clearly, Yoshi, the main dinosaur dude, will be showing up in this sequel. But considering how much Galaxy stuff is in here, I'm wondering how he will fit into the story. If his egg will somehow be summoned into space, or if he will introduce himself on the planet Earth before going off into space. Again, there's just a lot of different factors to take into consideration, but with Yoshi, he was definitely a big part of Mario Galaxy 2, so he could definitely fit into the Galaxy vibe of this film. I'm just curious to see what he's going to do, who will be voicing him if he actually talks at all. Yeah, very interested about that. Also, will Bowser come back and be the big bad at the end of the movie? Because obviously, from what we've seen at the end of the first film, Bowser turns small, and in the first part of this new trailer, he is, confined to his little castle, painting, Jack Black doing his thing, which is fun. But I'm just wondering, okay, with Bowser Jr. set to go and collect him, will there be a point where, Bowser will become the big main bad guy for these guys to defeat towards the end of the movie, or will him and his son team up? There's a lot of interesting factors that come into play there. Or will he be taking a back seat and letting his son do the work? Just as a follow-up to the previous question, if Bowser does come back to be the big bad at the end of the movie, will he have an epic fight like in Mario Galaxy 1 or Mario Galaxy 2? Some of my favorite moments in Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 was fighting against Bowser. The fights were really fun, epic, and the music for those fights was so good. The King Bowser theme from Mario Galaxy 1 is genuinely one of my all-time favorite pieces of music. The way it's just very dramatic, builds up, and just it adds that sense of urgency and epicness to everything. So I'm hoping that there will be at least an incorporation of that into this film in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, if Mario ends up fighting Bowser in the sort of gravity-based shenanigans that happens within those fights, that would be pretty sick. And finally, what galaxies will be featured from the games? Obviously, there's a number of galaxies from, both games that could be included in here. Obviously, Gusty Garden, I think a lot of people may be expecting just because that's the main theme that people associate with the Mario games. But will we see Balrog Galaxy? Will we see the Good Egg Galaxy? Will we see the Honeybee, Galaxy? And, there's that weird one, the toy-based level one, or that weird dimension where it's, I can't remember what it's called, it's Flip something. But it's that one level where anytime that Mario jumps and does the spin attack, you have the red and blue panels that will switch each time you spin. So it would be fun to see that, or one of the ghost houses, or the molten lava and the ice. Again, there's a lot of different places that they could show off in this film. But yeah, I guess that's about it. Now I turn it over to you, ladies and gentlemen. What did you think of the first proper trailer for the Mario Galaxy movie? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Are you having any apprehensions about this film, or are you completely locked in because you loved the first film? Whatever your thoughts are, please leave them in the comment section below, or hit me up on Twitter or on Instagram where I'm Hypersonic55 or at FilmFocus55. And yeah, I guess that's about it. Thank you for listening as always, and until the next time, this is the Hypersonic55 signing out. Peace.